All right, we out here. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to the morning show here on Stock Market TV. Spencer Israel, JC Parets, Steve Strazza, Alfonso, and Pablo's with you this morning. What's going on? We got to talk about crypto. Obviously, is Bitcoin at 100 grand? Yes, we are. Well, we were not now, but we were at 100 grand, and it happened. That's exciting. We'll talk about that. Some stocks on the dock as well. We got a good question in the inbox yesterday about Biotech. I want to ask that at some point. We'll have Kenny Glick on the show. We'll have Alfonso on the show. I don't know about Louis. Louis on like a retreat, like a meditation retreat, but we have charts. That's all that matters. We got the charts. Let's do it. Smash the like. What up, chat? Here we go.
All right, guys, we're back. Are we good? How's the audio? Are we good?
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Taking me to a new cheesesteak spot today in Philadelphia. I've always been a Jim's guy. Strazza's like, I don't go there.
More Philly talk? I'll let you guys go.
Philadelphia, underrated. I've been there quite a bit in the last couple of weeks for a variety of different reasons. Basketball games, investor stuff, Wharton today. So I'm so Philly, bro.
He likes Philadelphia, Spencer. Who knew? Did you know?
I owe the chat a correction. I was looking at the Bitcoin futures. The Bitcoin futures hit 100. Bitcoin did not.
Who cares?
It's because it's showing the price of the future.
One thing I learned a long time ago is that the futures market is not necessarily the best indication of the future.
Oh.
All right.
Fun fact.
Things happen.
Who knew?
Thoughts on 100,000 before we get into the weekend? A lot of people are like, oh my God, are you going to sell it all? That seems to be kind of like the main premise. Does 100,000 mean anything to you at all, Strazza?
Yeah.
Why?
It's confirmation. So I wrote a post like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago now. It was called We're Going Back. And I talked about things like GameStop going 10x in 2020 and Doge going up 10,000 whatever percent, right? And Bitcoin was skyrocketing. So in an environment where Bitcoin is ripping to 100K, up whatever 50% this month, what else is probably happening is I think the way we should think about this. Speculative growth stocks are all the rage again. See how people just, they welcome them right back when the time comes? See how quickly it happens? They're talking about them all over the cable networks now. I'm getting emails from everybody else about ARK stocks. 3 weeks ago, it was crazy. So ask yourself, if Bitcoin is running to and probably through 100K, what else is probably happening? Well, how do I make money on those?
Wasn't 3 weeks ago.
Hold on.
What?
Hold on. I agree with all of that you're saying. Nobody's taking that away from you. You've been spot on. I am asking specifically about Bitcoin, and I'm asking specifically about Bitcoin $100,000. This is Crypto Friday at the end of the day. Does that specifically mean anything to you for Bitcoin specifically?
It's a key psychological level, so it probably overshoots it. And at this point, in my opinion, with Bitcoin having already done what it has and being at record overbought levels, it's just becoming more and more of an ATM for me to redeploy that capital into higher risk crypto plays.
Wow. ATM.
Yeah, I'm taking profits. You know, I still have a lot of miners trades on that have worked actually pretty well considering the volatile price action, but I think there's still something there. I think there's a big catch-up move still taking place there. I think MicroStrategy is over. I am long MSTZ, calls and common. Don't at me. This is a tactical hedge. Okay? It's a trade. It's a tactical hedge. If I'm wrong on this trade, I probably make more money in aggregate, right? But at this point with MicroStrategy where it is, I agree with everything that the short sellers are saying about it. They're spot on. It's nothing crazy. It's just completely overheated here.
Steve Strazza, shorting MicroStrategies.
Yeah,
that right?
Yep.
I also know a guy who's shorting
Pat called me. I'll put Pat right. Pat called me yesterday. I didn't even know about this MSTZ. And we were talking about, and I'm like, dude, I can't, I'm not going to short this. The margin's crazy. Look at the price of the puts is absolutely insane. He's like, dude, MSTZ. I was like, oh my God. And I'm a person who hates these levered inverse things, but for this one, it really does make sense, I think. And it won't be on for long.
All right, why don't we do a little state of the markets? I got some charts. All right, we got the Dow futures this morning doing nothing. 44,000 even, flat on the day. S&P 500 flat as well, just under 59.70. NASDAQ 100 futures also flat, slightly down, 20,800. 30-year bond futures up 0.5%, pushing 117. Crude oil down 50 basis points, hanging out at that 69 level that it loves so much. Copper down almost a full percent, 408. Gold up almost a full percent, just under 2,700. Silver up almost a full percent, 31.25, with the volatility index still pushing 17, which is impressive for the VIX. Bitcoin above 98,000, flat on the day. Ethereum just under 3,300, down 2% on the day. Solana 255, flat on the day. Binance also flat at 620. Total crypto market cap, Spencer Israel, new highs this week, now 3.2 trillion, off quite a bit from that 3.25 trillion, with the Bitcoin dominance still above 60%. How are we feeling about all this?
Can you remind me again, what was the lowest that the Bitcoin dominance got recently?
The Bitcoin dominance as recent as
Was it like,
September of 2022
okay, that's
was down slightly under 40%.
I thought 40. Okay, all right. So
And that's where we're at now. Why don't we go over slide 2? Nobody smack me. This is legitimately a legit question on Crypto Fridays, talking about Bitcoin in yen terms hitting 15 million. Should we care? Is Bitcoin just a dollar denominated thing? Should we be looking at Bitcoin and other forex?
no.
How do we feel about this? Is it
I
a
mean,
little much,
I'm
or
not
is this
usually.
legit?
Every time you do this with other things, I don't really get it personally.
Tell him, Spencer. Tell him.
So like you do this with like gold priced in things or things priced in gold, and
That one makes a lot more sense though.
I don't know. Bitcoin, to answer your question, JC, yes, Bitcoin is dollar denominated. The dollar runs the world. So
even
more
though the
importantly,
majority of trading in cryptocurrencies comes from Asian markets.
stop. If we were doing a presentation in Asia, which
this would be good.
this would be fantastic. It would make so much sense. It would be relevant to those people's lives. But right here, for us three, and probably 99% of the people in this chat and watching this show right now, erroneous, irrelevant. Throw it out. Doesn't matter. We deal in dollars, sir. You know
Got
this.
it. So we're Americans, but we're not Earthlings. Is that what you're
Correct.
suggesting?
That is right.
No, we deal in dollars. Just stops there. Americans, Earthlings.
Well, I will. So here's
thing.
just a little background. So when I first started charting Bitcoin in 2016, when I realized how much Bitcoin I owned, because I had forgotten that I had gotten some Bitcoin like 3 years earlier.
He thought he had a lot of Bitcoin because he had it denominated in zloty.
I had it denominated in every currency. It doesn't matter how you think about it. It's the same number of Bitcoin. So I started charting it, and I didn't know anything about Bitcoin at the time. Not that I know much now, but probably less then. And then so when I started adding it to our charting arsenal, I just added to the currency workbook, right? So it was like euro, yen, British pounds.
You didn't know any better.
I didn't know any better, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately,
no one did.
Nobody did. Agreed. I think it was pretty consensus that it was a currency at the time. And then you got Ethereum and the Ripple and the Litecoin and all these other things came about. And a few cycles later, we finally came to the conclusion that this is really more like a stock. These are stocks, not so much a currency.
Well,
but with that being said, at the time in 2016, when I first started charting this stuff,
yeah,
I was denominating it in all these other currencies the same way that I would the dollar, yen, British pounds. So I've always done this. That's number one. Number two, the fact that gold broke out to new all-time highs priced in dollars this year was not surprising, because every other currency in the world had already broken down to new all-time lows relative to gold, except the dollar and Swiss franc. And then this year, finally, the dollar and the Swiss franc broke down to new all-time lows relative to gold. But the rest of the global markets were already suggesting that that was coming. It was really just inevitable. So what you're saying is that in Bitcoin, that's erroneous. It's only in dollars, and screw everybody else in whatever currencies they live in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here trying to make money for me. I don't know what you're doing.
Well, you see, we have to do the analysis first to help identify the direction of underlying trends to then help us make the decision so that we can do what you suggested, which is that making money part. And
don't sass me. You don't need to
every day. I can assure you that the money that you're making is derived from the research and the work that you're doing prior to entering those trades. Am I wrong?
Fine. Thanks.
So isn't that what we're doing?
Don't tell me. Stop. You don't need to price Bitcoin in another currency to know that the trend is up, sir. Stop that.
So you don't think that it's helpful, that would suggest that perhaps there are more legs in Bitcoin price in dollars because they've continued higher price in other currencies? That doesn't matter? That's just a coincidence?
No, the dollar's stronger. It's just math. Like,
right.
But I do agree with what you said earlier, your first point, which, yeah, this was in our currency chart books. We treated it like any other currency, right? We were charting it like a cross or a pair, right, against everything else. And we weren't wrong to do that. Like you left out an important point. It was invented as a currency. We were told early on, they
are literally called cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, Bitcoin, right? Like that's what they were supposed to be. We had to get that data to find out, oh, they were wrong all along. It's not a currency. It's a speculative
but because we live in a degenerate world, humans took these currencies and turned them into speculative investments, like the good old-fashioned way.
To think that internet money was not going to be a speculative asset. I mean, hey, fun times.
There's a lot of money to be made in fake internet tokens, you know?
So
I have a few charts. You bring any charts there with you?
No, so I have a quick story. Like, Rose is getting into our research, so she's asking a lot of questions. She's reading our stuff, and frankly, it's great for me because it's just a different perspective. For example, she came to me the other day. She said, "What are you talking about with this guy sitting up in his chair tweeting a thing, and then everybody buys a stock on Reddit? Like, what are you even talking about? Land in the metaverse?" Because she wasn't around for the 2020 bull market, right? So all these things,
she thinks all this stuff is nuts.
So I said, we watched this movie. Remember, like I used to work with these guys. So here's what happened. I explained the story, and when you do that, and someone forces you to explain it. I literally told her, I was like, so he's going to tweet. So we're long these really, really high risk calls. They're crazy expensive. I have like 1 or 2 weeks for this trade to work. Stock has to go up 50%. It's absolutely crazy. And she's like, so this is investing? And
no.
I'm like, no. I was like, you know what? Right now it is. Right now it is. I don't make the rules, right? But I remember a time just like this many years ago. I think we're going back there. And it sounds crazy because it is.
It sounds crazy to somebody who hasn't been around, but for us that are numb to it at this point, this is just another day. Turn the page, right?
That's right. We'll be back to this place again in 2028.
I can't wait. The Olympics are going to be in Los Angeles. Definitely going to that.
You know, are we going to have a big like holiday rally like we typically do for cryptos, or have we pulled too many gains forward?
Well, it's funny you said that because we've gone back and done the work, and there's no evidence at all that when the market front runs a seasonally strong period, there's no evidence at all that that's exactly the case. Quite the opposite. When you have strength going into that seasonally strong period, historically, that leads to further gains, right? So what you're saying is a great question, one that we've asked many times. And then so as we do, we go to the data. And the data suggests that there's zero evidence that that is the case at all. Could be this time, but if history means anything to you, it's not likely.
Yep. So quick thoughts on China. China news yesterday. We really got to monitor these things closely. So draft legislation coming from the Republicans, and they're basketing the Chinese companies, not by sector, not by industry, but by technology.
Who's they?
The United States government draft legislation. This is like, think of what I'm talking about. This is like the Trump tough on China bill.
Got it.
Okay.
And is it legitimately that, or is it like that?
We're going to find out. I'm wondering the same thing. It's hard to say, right? I think it's going to be hard on some and easy on others, if I had to guess. So I think with this, there are going to be some real winners and losers. If you look at the Pinduoduo, if you look at the Baba, if you look at Baidu, some of these internet giants or online retailers got hosed yesterday on this news. If you look at a music streaming company like Tencent Music, held up really well despite yesterday's headlines. They were kind of left out of like this new regulation. The Chinese online education companies, interesting relative strength there. So we're going to dive in, do a lot of work, and try to see like the reactions to this stuff, because it's not just yesterday or this week. This is going to keep going on. We're going to be talking about this for a while. So we're going to try to identify those winners coming out of this whole situation and lean into those as vehicles, because a lot of these names in China just still so messy, right? Like, it looked like we got the pop, we came out of this base, we got this really nice corrective wave. I thought we were going to dig in and rock higher, but it just hasn't come yet. So I think for now, we can just focus on relative strength and be really selective.
Focus on relative strength, specifically in China.
Yeah, that's what I'm just talking about, China right now.
And then waiting for this thing to, base out. That was a hell of a move. I have been impressed with how well it's held in. But if we start losing those lows from last week, you start breaking below 29.5 or so, 29. Yeah. You start losing that, that's going to get tougher. They got to step in.
And JC, we've really had the right Asia playbook. We've been selective. We haven't avoided Asia. We've simply bought the same patterns that we've been buying in US equities for the past few years now, right? So we've been leaning into these other Southeast Asian, really consumer companies more than anything. Grab is trading at 550 right now. It's trading 2s, 3s not long ago when we were talking about it. C Limited, absolutely crushing it, keeps climbing up the right-hand side of this base, right? These are kind of ancillary non-China Southeast Asia plays. Coupang coming out of that base. So there's a lot of good-looking stuff outside of China.
I was going to say, how do you think about a Coupang? Coupang is South Korea, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. It's the Amazon of South Korea. I think that's exactly how you think about it. And it's got a lot of big institutions in it.
Well, most
It's
stocks
a
have a lot of things.
No, this one is, thank you, Spencer. This one has a significant amount of institutions in it. We cover in the hot corner.
Okay, whatever.
Thanks, Spencer. Most stocks have majority of institutional ownership. Shout out.
Can we go look at a couple of the other countries that I find pretty interesting?
Yeah.
So doing a little international work last night, going through my charts, noticing Israel continues to make new all-time highs. I tweet about it because I find it interesting that all you get is bad news coming from Israel, yet the stock market keeps making new all-time highs. I also find it interesting how angry people get at me for tweeting out the price of a stock market and saying that there are more important things than money. Nobody's saying there aren't more important things than money. But what we do here is talk about how to make money. And isn't it interesting how bad the news continues to be coming from Israel? And despite all of that, the stock market continues to make new all-time highs.
And if anything, aren't you pointing out like a nice thing? Hey, despite all of this unfortunate geopolitical stuff, hey, the stock market's making new highs. That's like you're tweeting a nice thing. I don't know.
Spencer, as somebody, I'm convinced that I was Jewish in a prior life, but since you're Jewish this lifetime, is there anything wrong with pointing out the strength in Israeli equities?
I will say this. I did this. I pointed this out on one of the recent Jewish holidays. I forget which one, and it was met with awkward silence.
To your family?
Wow.
Yeah, I was with my family. I was with my cousins and my aunts and uncles, and I pointed out this fact because we had just talked about this like the day or two prior on the show by coincidence. So it was on my mind. So I brought up that fact, and then no one knew what to say.
Wow.
So.
Like, were they happy about it? Were they upset about it? Were they indifferent?
No, just no one knew what to say to that. So I think they were just confused. So, but I didn't mean it in the way of like, oh, everything's fine. I was just bringing it up just to bring it up. But yeah, I think people don't really care.
Yeah,
and also, like, guys, let's be honest, it's a really small market, and it's not like a lot of people are probably invested in Israeli stocks. That's also the truth. No.
Wait, JC, is pardon my ignorance. Is there a way to do a comparison between like an index and like an ETF? Like
Yeah,
you can do that, right?
EIS.
Dude, Israel crushes tech. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody overseas outside the United States who
Taiwan,
does.
maybe?
Wait,
Yeah, but
what's the Israel
it's one
ETF?
big company in Taiwan. You know what I mean?
EIS.
Oh,
Better
it's
breath.
funny. Okay, so EIS. All right, so look at EIS first because ARK has one too. Look at EIS versus
I just dropped in the arc,
the
Spencer. I just
the
dropped in the arc.
IZRL.
Yeah, check it out. Throw it up.
Not
Throw it up.
not
up.
even the same. Not even the same thing.
That's a cool
Yeah.
ticker, ICRL. Throw it up. Throw it up. Look at this.
Yeah,
I mean,
ARK
this
got the
is.
good ticker.
I'll buy this.
Oh, I was looking longer term.
What's not to like about
I mean,
this?
it's an interesting base, but doesn't this just Strazza speak to speculative tech?
That's right.
And like just smaller cap, in this case, more software, obviously, cybersecurity.
Yeah.
But isn't this just the same story you keep talking about again and again and again?
Absolutely.
You know, with reason, with good reason.
Yeah, and I've been generalizing a lot about the theme because you have to, but it's really this is it's very broad. For example, PayPal and Square are not small companies, right? I wouldn't call them speculative tech at all. They're growth stories, right? But these are legit, very large businesses. PayPal, I think, was a top 10 stock by market cap at one point. And they're just coming out of bases that look exactly like this in ARK Israel. We're seeing them all over. And there's just varying degrees of quality. But yeah, it's speculative. It's long duration equities. Things like banks, biotechs. I think you could even throw some of these cyclical bases in that conversation. So it's almost becoming, JC, so broad that it's just the stuff that's not working is starting to work. You can't short anything in this market. Coming from the guy who just shorted MicroStrategy, like solar energy stocks, you want to go short those? Good luck. On the hot corner, literally every day for the past 4 days, they are just slamming these solar stocks. Form fours. Like there are just buyers out here, even for the worst things. And then we used to talk about stocks like these spec techs as the worst things, and now they all have the best chart patterns. So I think the bigger point is it's just a massive broadening of the bull market.
So this one is 57% technology, another 17% communications. So I mean,
70%.
essentially 62. Basically, 3/4 of this is technology.
Yeah.
Crazy.
FVRR.
We have
got a bunch that actually don't even have ADRs here. That's what's interesting about the IZRL. A lot of these names don't even trade here.
That's why it exists then.
There you go. I mean, it's just another shitty ETF basket of shitty stocks, which has gotten slaughtered over the last several years and, was built to underperform. And now, to Strazza's point that he keeps hitting on again and again and again, is that these are the names that are coming out of those bases. They all look exactly like this.
Yeah. Did Sean really just call this Spencer's Arc in the chat?
No, I don't know what he was referring to. Oh, maybe that is what he was referring to.
Spencer's Arc. That's funny. See? Come on.
Do we have my Baidu chart? Because there are some that look very terrible in China too, and I want to talk about them because I think there's opportunity here too. And energy reminds me of this right now also, where there's stuff like Oxy or Rig or some of the Schlumberger looks great, but it's coming off the lower bounds of a range. And then you have stuff like Exxon or EOG or the leaders, right, that are coming out and breaking out of the upper bounds of a range. And overseas and even in spec tech, because when I think of China or I think of Israel tech, it's the spec tech theme. Right. So do we have the Baidu? Because there's some massive, massive tops out here. And like this company, talking about Baidu specifically, this is literally the Google of China. Like this is one of those, this is one of their superpowers, tech superpowers over there. Is it really going to complete? Do we have the chart or no? Are we working on it? Do I need to get it?
Baidu also had a rough day. They had earnings yesterday. They had a rough day.
It's like 10, 15-year base shaping up. So in the middle of a bull market for stocks all around the world, I don't know. Do you want to bet that this base is going to complete and we're going to get some massive downside move in the Google of China? Maybe you do.
Sure, why not?
Not a bet that I want to make in the middle of a bull market. I just dropped the chart in.
I got it. No, it's a good. This to me, what Strazza is saying here, I think really stands out a
I'll buy
lot.
this.
Throw up the news slide too, there, Spencer.
I'll buy this. If I'm wrong, I'll lose $1 or $2, Spencer.
Yeah.
Right? They just had earnings out of the way.
This is as clean as
what-
it gets, guys. As clean as it gets.
It's nasty. A nasty top. Imagine if it's not a top at all.
If it's not a top at all, this thing's going to absolutely rip in the same way that consumer discretionary is doing that now, right? You know, like industrials did before, like small caps did before, like technology did last year, like all the things that suck the most. Like, well, what is it? Was it Major League 2? We suck again.
Yep. But so just like solar, I mean, Dawson makes a great point. Stock's like down 3% every day for 25 straight days. Great. And look at this support level it's running into. The market's really good at pricing stuff in, right? And I don't think it's any secret that there's going to be tougher regulations, tariffs, whatever on China. So at what point has the market discounted that? At what point is 90, 95% drawdowns enough for solar energy companies, the ones that are actually surviving and going to make it through? At what point are they just massively undervalued? At what point is the Google of China just crazy cheap and buyers step in? They're buying everything else. They're buying all the other junkiest assets around the world. Pepe the Frog, any meme coin, GameStop looks like it's about to break out. We're talking about speculative tech bases, all of the stocks that nobody has wanted for 3 or 4 years. They told me they'll never see these valuations again. You can't own these stocks. That's China. That's Baidu. Same theme.
All right,
Peloton's up to 300%.
This is where I say goodbye, guys. I love you. I'm heading down to Philly. I'm going to be on the Wharton School of Business podcast, and then they're going to take me for Philly cheesesteaks in some local spot that I don't know.
Love those guys. Tell Jeremy hi.
I will. What should I talk about? Like he's like this is one of those things where like they don't tell me what to say. I could just talk about anything I want.
Not Israel, and not Bitcoin in price in yen. Let's start there.
Not talk about Israel.
No.
You can do international with Jeremy. Jeremy loves international, though.
He does love international. I'm preaching to the choir there. But, like, seriously, this is on Sirius Satellite Radio. They're going to be, like, individuals. They're going to repeat the they're going to air it, like, maybe 5 or 6 times over the next few days. You know how they do that.
Yeah.
So, like, seriously, all joking aside, like, what legitimately should I talk about? Anybody in the chat, guys?
Well, they're fun guys. You could talk about factors, right? Because there's really interesting stuff going on with the factors right now. I think it's more of a size situation than a growth versus value thing, but that would be a fun conversation.
And what about this Jeremy Siegel guy?
Great.
Last time I was on, him and I did not agree on rates. And, you know, I'm not one to keep my mouth shut. So I kind of felt bad about it a little.
Well, you're very different. You're coming from very different backgrounds and perspectives. Jeremy is one of the great economists and really one of the great business school professors of our time. So
and as much as we make fun of economists, this guy's legit, though.
Oh, he's great.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a good recess for you, JC. I'll save it for Monday because you're not going to be here. Oh,
all right, guys. Well, wish me luck. Hopefully, I don't screw this up and get them canceled, right? Try not to get us canceled, hey?
Don't get canceled.
It's the best morning show on finance.
Don't eat too many Philly cheesesteaks.
Don't get canceled.
I'm going to have one.
I'm going to bring on Kenny, all right?
All right. Adios, guys.
Later.
All right.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my club, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
Mr. Glick.
What's up?
Are you going to be doing Glickid this weekend?
What is that?
Glickid is the new Barbenheimer. It's seeing Gladiator and Wicked. It's Glickid.
Oh my God, no, but that's awesome.
I did not make this up. This is a real thing.
Oh no, I won't see any of those movies. I just wait to bootleg them off the internet. So I sit at home and watch movies.
Well, I thought maybe, it's bearing your name. You might want to partake, but support the team, I guess not. Okay.
Wow, cool. No, but Gladiator looks all right. I mean, I love everything Gladiator. So you like Gladiator movies?
Who doesn't?
It's over your head.
No, sorry. What is that?
It's the movie Airplane. Go watch it one day.
Oh, of course. That's the most quotable movie of all time. I don't know that quote.
Yes. You ever seen a grown man naked?
Surely you can't be serious. Okay, let's bring up the charts here. Oh, we don't have charts. What's on your radar? Are you watching what I'm watching? Are you watching like the Reddit this morning and the Gap and all that?
Yeah, we're on the gap, but I'll tell you, man, after yesterday and kicking ass so heavily, I almost don't even want to be here right now. It's like, you walk away from the casino, we cashed out our chips, we went to see the show, and now I'm kind of hungover. So, we had all those quantum computing stocks going crazy yesterday, the Qubits, the Qbert, the Ion Q. And right now they're still in play. The same ideas. Those QUBT turned out to be a monster. Lunar turned out to be absolutely insane. Just sticking with them right now. QBTS is the one that's interesting because it's just woke up a couple of days ago. And RGTI rigatoni over here. So anything again, usually it's the king of the. I guess Ion Q would be the monster of the bunch. But now all the underlings come along for the ride. But it's been a great couple of weeks, and the market just keeps paying you over and over again. We traded Nvidia like beasts yesterday. Top ticked it up there at 152.50. So I'm still looking at the same exact names. A couple of sleeper ideas. Clove woke up. CLOV sitting there under that 350. I might look at some 350 calls today. But a word of caution. Yesterday with some of these stocks, they were up 100%. I mean, QUBT was up over 100% in the last 48 hours. So there's some room for them to fall apart. But I like Lunar. Lunar look at that chart on Lunar, my friends. That came out of SPAC and really did go to 136. So that's factored in there with all the VWAP and long-term VWAPs that I look at. So, if this thing could get above 1525, you're looking at 1750, possibly even $20 on Lunar. So I like that one because it's, nice weekly options. And what's really nice, my friends, is that if you want to take advantage of some of these crazy stocks, I like using options after they pop because if they roll over and die, at least you're not exposed to the price of the stock. So
That's true.
Stocks like QUBT now created options. QBTS actually has options. And of course, Lunar. Because this stock, if you haven't been watching, we went from 8 to 15, back to 9, back to 15. If you can't take that volatility, at least if you're buying options, you know exactly what you're exposed to.
Kenny, maybe you know this, maybe you know, but is there a threshold at which these like crazy micros or small caps become optionable or not?
I think, once they increase in volume, generally have to stay over $2.50. And then if they had options, a lot of these stocks have cratered from days of yore. But if they get that volume again, they stay above 250, they recreate the chains. Right. Yeah. So, and it's nice when they start making the weeklies. Usually they're monthlies. QUBT only had 250s and they went to 4s and monthlies. Now they've have 50-cent increments on the weekly. So a lot better opportunity to get involved.
Jack from the chat wants to know: are we faux show broing the IWM?
IWM, I'm just a fan, but I know what I wanted to talk about what you guys were just talking to: the energy, the oil. I'm looking at BTU. I've been looking at the Alcoa. I've been looking at the Halliburton. I like that conversation you will have. Take a look at BTU. This is a stock that I owned about 6 years ago. And we did really well with it coming out of the dungeon. This is one of the first Andy Dufresne's. This was when U.S. Steel was left for dead and KMI, Alcoa. This is, I guess, 2019, 2020, and they all came out. This stock, BTU, really got interesting because it was like a restructured stock, and it has been doing nothing for years. It finally peaked its head above 30. Keep an eye on BTU because if they could get through $33, you got a clear sailing maybe back into the 40s. So BTU is a coal company, very interesting, kind of like the Cliff, U.S. Steel, Alcoa. I locked them all together, but I like that. And I know you guys were talking about China stocks. I mean, it's amazing how that conversation just came and went. Tepper came on, said to buy everything China, and that was basically the end of the move. And I don't think that was a coincidence because they had been rallying 2 weeks up until when Tepper came on CNBC and told you to buy everything China. Next thing you know, we're right back to where we came from and below. So again, I really despise Chinese stocks, but nothing's worse than the wheat stocks. The solar, I do predict they will come back. They always have those boom and bust cycles. I wouldn't be shorting the solar stocks either, like Strazza was saying.
You getting down and dirty in the MSTR today, buying that dip?
That stock just angers me. I was looking through some of my mother-in-law's old paperwork. We owned that stock when nobody cared about it. It was pre-Bitcoin. It's so sad where we owned that thing. We were like $22 a share back in the day. It's just crazy. I don't know about the Maras and the riots and the MSTRs. No, I just own Bitcoin. Let's go to 120. Because if Bitcoin goes to 120,000, you're probably seeing 180,000. So, I mean, the 100,000 threshold, I think, is just going to be, I don't think it's going to be resistance. I think we get through that 100 and get to the 120. 120, you might put up a fight, but this is just insane. It really isn't crazy. This is crazy. And if you guys own Ripple, congratulations. We're finally back over $1. Big fan of the Ripple. So it's good times. What's up, Strazza?
I'm getting a lot of Ripple stuff on my social media. I'm getting a lot of Ripple videos.
I had to come on and just say hi, Kenny, because I love everything that you're saying today. And you put us onto the Ripple, a week or two ago. The space stocks absolutely nailed it. I brought some of the space stocks charts, but I'm with you on the oil and gas and the coal too. BTU looks fantastic.
I'm digging the BTU, yeah.
Dude, BTU looks so good. There's other ones too. The Arch, the AMR. I know people like CEIX already broke out, but the whole coal space looks good right now. Yeah. And some of these traditional oil and gases, like you mentioned Halliburton. Look at the Schlumberger.
Schlumberger.
Oxy looks like it's coming back, maybe scooping back into that old range. I added some ConocoPhillips. Oil and gas, I'm there.
Yeah, the only one is never fall in love with rig. It's the worst stock ever. I've been waiting for 20 years for this thing to reemerge, and I get beat on it every time.
Why do junkie traders like you and I, why do we favor the rig so much? Is it because we think of a better time a decade ago when rig was actually a large stock that mattered? And
yeah, I think my dad owned it at one point, and it turned me on to it, almost like back in the days we owned Apache, and that one's still around. So rig's got a special place in my heart, even though it's crushed my soul. So you keep waiting for it to stay above 750, but it always just goes back.
That thing has never been the same since they were involved in the BP oil spill.
That's true. Yeah. But BTU, I'm trying to figure out if this was a restructured stock. I remember they had a reverse split. They went bankrupt and they came back. So it's kind of a thin stock. So if it could get something going again, that thing was moving in 5-point increments a couple of years ago. So I'm looking forward to seeing that thing wake up. BTU, interesting. We're talking old school stocks now. So yeah, I dig it.
And if you think that it's boring because we're talking about these traditional energy companies right now, just go look at the move that Peabody, that's BTU, made off of the 2020 lows. If that's not enough juice for you.
Yeah, just absolutely. The U.S. Steel Trade, all that stuff, the KMI. There was another one. I don't know if you guys remember Allegheny Tech, ATI.
Yeah, ATI.
Absolutely incredible. They just make chemicals for steel production. That stock was left for dead at $8. I think it's in the 50s or the 60s now. So and again, this bull market, it's finding new sectors to run, except for weed and basically solar. So I thought Sedge was a real company at one point. SEDG, man, that stock is going to zero. Ooh. There is nobody buying that.
It was one of the top market leaders for years.
Yeah, and it's just garbage now. But
right
now we're mining for space and on the moon. So lunar, I'm a big fan of this lunar stock. We've been getting paid every week on it. That dip yesterday was phenomenal. So above 15 and change on lunar, this thing could legitimately go to the moon. So be careful today.
Is it me or are these high flyers staying up way longer than they used to?
Oh my God,
the lunar, the ASTS is now that's been months.
Look at the Rocket Labs. The lunar today looks the way that the Rocket Labs looked back in September.
Exactly.
I'm used to these moves lasting for I don't know, a couple of days or a week, right? Or two,
right?
Not months.
Baby. The animal spirits are here, Spencer.
I kind of call it self-legitimizes the stock. If the pump gets dumped and then it comes back, that's something. But if they don't want to die, it remains a buy. That's the way I look at it. Yep. So, like QUBT, it looked like it was going to be left for the dead once it broke under 250. And the next day it woke back up and then we're all over it. Yep. So if they keep wanting to pump them, we'll join in. So, but again, as far as I'm concerned, most of these stocks are going to roll over and go back to zero. The lunar, I'm digging. The ASTS seems like it's legit. I don't like it if it breaks back under 20. Yeah. But the Qubits, the Qbert, and a lot of these other junky ones, again, you got to just make sure you know what you're doing here. And I'm not going to fall in love. I have no affinity for these pump and dumps. But again, like ASTS, that one's convinced me it's legit.
Look at this. Look at this. It's just chopping here, falling wedge, which is really just ending up being probably textbook retest of those prior cycle highs.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one, again, every time it looks like it's about to break down, it finds that bid, under the 20s. So you can't short it, that's for sure. But again, I'm really excited to see what these things do over the next 6 months. But right now, it's about momentum. Momentum. The easiest trade right now is buying new high breaks. If you're not convinced, sometimes it's easier to buy them when they're going up. So instead of trying to find a bottom on some of these momentum stocks, you buy them when they break prior day high. And that was like the first trade I ever learned back in the 90s. Prior high break, momentum kicks in, and we're off to the races. So same thing with the Lunar, the Qubits, all that stocks that I just mentioned. That's the trade. So, let's go.
All right.
Love
Kenny's going live to his room right now. Hit thebid.com. Trade with him there. Kenny, have a good one, sir.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.
All right.
Later. It's a moon market, Spencer.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a moon market.
Apparently so. Space stocks, meme
Space
coins, GameStop.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Shout out, since we were just talking about coal, Fonz just threw it in the chat. He's absolutely right. Shout out Alliance Resource Partners. I was in this one during the consolidation. I'm no longer in it. I'll probably get back in it, but massive multi-year base breakout. This coal stock pays a 10% dividend.
ARLP.
10% yield with a chart like that. We'll be talking. Am I talking about dividends at 1 o'clock? I heard I may be talking about dividends today.
You are.
We'll have to talk about that. Am I talking about them by myself?
You are.
Wow. All right. Solo.
That's right.
I'm the dividend guy.
The mastermind for mastermind / AAC premium folks. You'll be getting the link to that video in a little bit. 1 o'clock today. Okay. Some movers / headlines. Do we have a chart of the gap? The gap is gapping.
Oh yeah,
17% this morning. Sales of Athleta came in nicely. They beat on the top and the bottom line. They reaffirmed their net sales guidance for the year is going to be up. And so we're up. What are we up now? 17% this morning.
Hey,
the gap.
These guys changed their ticker on me.
What? Oh, shoot. What? When did that happen?
Yeah. It was GPS forever.
Yeah. Wait, did that? What? Hold on. You're right.
Gap now. And hey, what a gap in the gap today. That's a blog post. The gap is gapping. Ha. So they own Old Navy, Banana Republic, Athleta.
This happened on August 22nd. We missed it.
Why didn't they do that like 10 years ago?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Good question.
I don't know who Gap was. Anyway, apparel, right? The retail or the apparel industry group is as bifurcated as they come.
Extremely.
Big winners, big losers. We do a lot of work around this. And today, at least today, Gap is a winner. It's been sideways all year. But it is climbing up the right-hand side of the base. It looks fine. Target got blasted the other day. I don't think I was on. You guys probably discussed it, but there have been a lot of retail reports. TJ Maxx wasn't TJ Maxx this week or no?
Yep.
BJ's. I told you BJ's is so good, guys. Look out for the BJ's. I'm long the BJ's. I'll probably add on this breakout too.
Yeah, but you were saying that like 6 months ago.
Yeah, but I'm so bullish BJ's because you have to build a position, right? This is like a nice accumulation pattern. It's been going on since early 2022. I think it's go time.
Yeah, but you're saying you didn't get shaken out in like August or whatever that was.
No, this one's in the no because this one's in the IRA. Just kind of let it go. Not trying to trade this. I think this is going to be a Costco story. I really don't see why it would be any different. I think this chart, when we look back over the years, it looks more and more like Costco. It's not crazy to think, right? Some of these businesses that are smaller and have, a big boy to model after, it's not crazy to think that they can just, run the same strategy, execute the same playbook, and follow the same path higher as some of these market leaders like Costco. I think that's exactly what's going on with BJ's.
Okay, other things on my radar this morning. Reddit is down, I should say. One of their major stakeholders, I think they own about a third of the company, is essentially putting their Reddit shares up as collateral to
For what?
I forget what they're actually trying to do, but yeah, they're just borrowing. They're basically just borrowing against their Reddit shares, right? So
That's
there
okay.
was some thoughts that maybe they would sell. They're not actually selling. They're just using their Reddit shares as
I don't see why
collateral, but they are a huge shareholder. So our DDT is down what, like 7%
not.
on that after
What
the
a buy
close
this stock
yesterday.
was. So this is one I did get stopped out of in August, Spencer. And
Yeah.
boy, did that suck. Are you still in this? We bought this around the same.
No. I don't even remember when I got out of this. Honestly, I forget. I probably got stopped out. Actually, I'll tell you when. Yeah, because we bought that all-time high breakout in July, and then probably like a month later. Yeah, August. Honestly,
I think Reddit is part of this whole Trump trade theme. And when I think of Reddit, I look at this massive base in the New York Times, and I think that should break out too.
there's this chart I've not looked at for a minute. New York Times.
The New York Times was so good during the last Trump presidency.
It's true. It
Straight
was.
line higher, like 400%.
Okay, other things on my list here. Oh, actually, we got a question I want to ask. Someone emailed us yesterday. And actually, before we ask the question, I'm going to drop a link in the chat. If you have not downloaded the latest free report from the team over at Hot Corner that Steve helped put together, I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now. There it is. We talk about the Hot Corner on the show. We talk about the Baker brothers on the show. These guys are the smart money within the smart money. Free report tracking their recent activity. And, obviously the past few weeks have been not great for healthcare, for biotech, but this is the time when you want to start doing your research, put together your shopping list so
Right.
that when it is time to buy, you're ready. In that vein, we got a question about biotechs in the inbox yesterday from Brendan. I want to ask it now. Just wondering, how can traders take the risk of trading highly volatile biotech stocks? My understanding is that on a great news release, the
Reddit.
stock. What?
Sorry, go ahead.
My understanding is that on a great news release, the stock will blow past any technical indicators, both up or down, which you have no control over. So basically, how do you control your risk when a biotech is liable to gap up or down 40% in a day in your face?
No, you have technical indicators that help in the case that you get those moves, right? It's not like every technical indicator is a target that gets blown through or support or resistance line, right? We have oscillators and momentum indicators that could help us say, oh, this is really overheated or something like that. But the way that you spread that risk is the same way you would spread that risk if you simply bought the IBB or the XBI. But you can do a better job and build a basket of market leaders or sector leaders or industry group leaders. In the case of biotech, you buy the best ones, you buy the strongest ones, you buy the relative strength leaders, you buy the clean pattern breakouts, right? You buy the ones that are the most well-defined, right? So you know that in the case that you're wrong on the trade, hopefully you don't lose much money. But then you also go into it with the understanding and the expectation that some of those positions will get completely blown out, and you will plan for a 5% stop and you'll lose 40%. Because it happens after hours, right? Your stop's not going to matter. You're down 40% on some FDA news or whatever, and that will happen. But then in a bull market, the idea is that, especially if you're leaning into relative strength, that you're in so many other good ones, you're getting these outlier moves to the upside too, right? Which are more than paying for the losers. And ideally, you pick the market leaders, you pick the good ones, and you don't have a lot of those gap downs. So I built a massive basket of biotechs. I probably owned close to 20 last week. Probably got stopped out of 6 or 7. And I plan to buy some back. But that's the way I'm doing. I'm building my own basket of biotech leaders. And it's been good. Despite the action at the industry group level, been making money on the biotechs that we're in.
Also, I've always thought with biotech specifically, if you're gonna buy one, never a bad idea to look at the pipeline and if they have any upcoming trial results coming out. We got a comment the other week about we should maybe talk more about what free tools we use. There's a site, it's not totally free, I don't pay for it, but there is some free stuff on there. It's called Biopharm Catalyst. You can just search for the ticker and it'll tell you what's in their pipeline and
that's awesome.
Where they're on the timeline. Never a bad idea.
Drop that in the chat.
Because it's so idiosyncratic.
Yeah.
And if you're going to own it for more than like, I don't know, a couple weeks, right? Then just never, it can't possibly hurt you to just know, oh, in a month they have this trial results coming out. So
Yeah.
never a bad idea. Biopharm Catalyst.
Oh, that's great. If I could just address some questions before we get out of here.
Yeah.
And
we have Fonz too. Don't forget.
What's that?
Alfonso is here.
Oh, yeah. All right. We'll bring him in just a minute here. Strazza's portfolio has to be incredible. He owns everything. In bull markets, it's a rather long list. So I have well over 100 positions right now. It's just how I do things. And then somebody just mentioned, shout out the NNE, the SMR, and the OKLO. I'm in 2 of those. Wish I was in all 3. And we are thinking that we are going to be doing a special report, big deep dive, because these bases in nuclear energy, the traditional uranium companies like Cameco, Uranium Energy Corp, Denison, even NextGen, they're all breaking out of massive bases. They look so good. But then we have these like new age nuclear plant companies or whatever the hell all these guys do. The SMR, the OKLO, from what I understand, that's like a Sam Altman business. The NNE, what is that? What's the name of that one? Nano nuclear. Like these things are all just ripping right now. And it's that same speculative tech, long duration growth stock theme. I think you got to be in all these names. So we're going to do a deep dive on that whole industry group, uranium, nuclear, because I think it would be very timely right now with the way these patterns are set up. And then MicroStrategy. Do we have the MicroStrategy chart?
Dude, was that whole day yesterday, was that that couldn't have been just from Andrew left. There's no way.
Dude, it's a problem. It is so overheated.
There's no
Everybody with
way.
the brain can see it. Yeah. What do you mean? No way. Dude, when it rains, it pours, right? Like this is a euphoric, parabolic rally at this point in MicroStrategy. They don't end well, right? MicroStrategy could fall 40%, just get back in line with Bitcoin right now.
Okay, so what you're saying is like yesterday was really maybe Andrew left like kicked the first domino, but this is really just a reaction to being overheated.
Yeah, we were doing a podcast with an awesome trader. It'll be out. Is it today or will it be out next week? I don't know. But he came on. We were talking Wednesday, and he was trying to short MicroStrategy. And he's like, I just need one red candle. He's like, I got burnt on a day. It was up like another 15%. He's like, I'm just waiting for one red candle to short this thing. Right. So that's how a lot of people feel when they're looking at a parabolic rally like this, because you're going to get a blow off top and then a big down move. And people could trade that. They could trade that all day. But I want to answer the question. Am I still in it? No. Here's the problem. We got in early. My cost basis for MicroStrategy was in the teens. So MicroStrategy was trading around 120 and it looked like a top that was forming right at the prior cycle highs. And I'm sitting there with 10x gains in this trade as there's this, year-long topping formation printing. I got out. I got stopped out. So I don't kick myself about stuff like that. And honestly, I'm not interested at all in getting back in. It was a great trade, but I've been out for a couple months now. So that's it.
What was I about to say? Shoot. I forget what it was. Whatever. All right,
trying to make the easy money in these trends, right? So I'm not saying MicroStrategy is over, but that easy money coming off the lows, right? 10x move, that's great, right? I don't need this headache right now. This has become a battleground stock. Everybody's shorting it. Another short report every day. It's never been so expensive. These guys are leveraging themselves to the gills and increasing their cost basis. It won't end well. It 100% will not end well. And I just don't need to be involved.
That's what I was going to say. Shout out to Mary. Mary's been trimming. She's been in this one for a while, like as long as you.
And time will be the ultimate judge. Time is going to be very kind to Coinbase, and that will emerge as by far the premier crypto equity market vehicle.
When do you know how to take profits? Oh man, we don't have time to get into that. That's like a.
And we're all different, right? We're all different. You got to kind
of. That's a behavioral conversation about.
It's always a fine balance between being just greedy enough and not overly greedy. So that's something that I don't think any trader really figures out in their career, but I think we do get better at it.
I'm a big believer in regret minimalization. Whatever you do that will give you the least amount of regret later on, that's what you should do. Whatever that is.
That is a popular school of thought.
Whatever you'll regret the least. That's what I think.
Look, and you also have to judge, where did it come from? How long have I been in it? Am I getting long-term capital gains treatment? What else can I do with this money? Right. So there's
That's
Who are you?
also a great question. What
Right.
else can I do? Yeah. Oh,
What are your risk preferences, right? Can you stomach a 50% drawdown in the middle of an uptrend? Like, will you hold through that? Who are you, right? So
would you rather make 20% when you could have made 200%,
there you go.
or just lose or lose 10 when you could have made 200? You wrote it all the way up and down. I don't know. We're all different. Let's bring Alfonso on, and then we'll get out of here.
Let's do it.
Hey guys.
Hello. What's up?
How's
Franz?
it going?
Good, man. How is your Friday morning going?
Very nice, very nice. Super interesting morning show. You're talking about the right things, energy, of course, crypto, the space stocks definitely catch my attention. The uranium looking great.
I'm right. Those
But a
basic.
group that catch my attention this week is definitely the digital payment stuff.
Everybody's loving the digital payments.
Yeah, and the insiders too. I mean, for some time now. So let's talk about that. Let's bring this chart.
You know, one that we haven't been talking about for a while, but we've been in pretty much longer than any of them is SoFi. I looked at it for the first time in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Spencer, I told you to buy it. I've been telling you to buy this one for so long.
You're been running.
You love their product and services, and you don't want to buy this perfect reversal pattern breakout. I don't understand. How can we help you?
No, I mean, look, I can still buy it, dude. I mean, yeah, it's gone from 6 to 15 in the last couple months here, right?
Oh,
yeah, 30 months.
Woo, baby. That's great. I like the way
if you zoom out, I don't think I missed it yet.
Yeah, no, this is a beautiful chart, and the CEO Anthony Noto has been stepping in the stock for almost 2 years. Multiple Form 4s. We have the insider purchases backing this trend, and the entire space, it's looking good. Not only is SoFi, it is the block or the square.
This is so fresh. This is just such. Oh God.
Yeah, former CFO of PayPal bought 25 million in shares of Square during the summer, right at the day after the market and block made its year lows. So he bought the day basically.
So this is roll off both big, tech investor founder guy who was around in the early days of all these startups, part of the PayPal group, right, of founders. Yeah. Does this surprise you that a former CFO who serves now on the board of Block came in and absolutely picked the lows in this stock a few months ago? Do we see this thing often?
Well, we will share a report of the CFOs. I remember when I started here, you touched me that the CFOs are the most important insiders players.
Did you believe me when I told you that years ago? Did you believe me?
Yeah. But also I thought the CEOs. But now I believe more in the CFOs. Know more about the numbers of the company. And having a former CFO of a similar company of PayPal buying this dip the day after the year lows. It's very encouraging. So, I mean, the stock is up about like 60% up since he bought it.
He's almost in the double.
Yeah, exactly. And the best part for this trade, I know we have been on this one on breakout multiplier, hot corner, but the best part is that it hasn't broken out yet of this reversal base. Yep. So the stock has been carving out a classic inverted head and shoulder formation. So as long as we're above 88 or 90, I think the path of least resistance is clearly higher, and we have green light for the block.
I love it, Fonz. I love this theme. You wrote a great post about it earlier this week. I think I might add on to that in the future because I don't think these names are going to be slowing down anytime soon.
No.
And notice how all of the I'm just driving people crazy right now because I can't stop talking about speculative growth. But ARK gives us some really nice indexes to kind of dive into speculative growth. And it seems like anything that they have an index on or an ETF for is really just working so well right now, whether it's space and exploration, the robotic stuff, the fintech stuff, ARKF, which a lot of these are from. I think you used iPay, but it would be the same story with ARKF, no?
Yep. All those charts look more or less the same. They're just breaking out of this reversal basis. They took a little bit longer from other areas, but it's that catch-up trade at the end of the day. The laggards catching up to the leader, so super strong behavior.
Love it. And I just want to shout out the buy now, pay laters. Looking at Upstart today, I'll probably add more to that. But Affirm trading at new cycle highs out here. The buy now, pay laters look fantastic too. I know that you just did a piece on AFRM. Look at that! Wow.
Yep, I bring the chart. And again, what is interesting about this space is the insider activity. Whether it is a former CEO, here is the Singapore's wealth fund step in back in April 2022. They bought like 126 million in shares, and since then the stock was in a base building process for 2 years. Now it's breaking out. Now it's confirming this trend reversal above 50. I think you have green light and the bias is higher. So yeah, all these payment related companies are breaking out with insiders back in the these trend reversals. So that's super interesting.
So I'll just mention, I mean, this is one of those strange foreign investments that kind of made us like, really? So this is the Singaporean Sovereign Wealth Fund with a massive stake in an American subprime lending business. These things happen. This kind of stuff goes on. But everything else that these guys are invested in is like, the Uber of Southeast Asia, online retailers that are over there, Chinese stocks, and the online educators. And then all of a sudden they own an American subprime lending business in massive size. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, good question in the chat. Colin Farrer, he's in our Square options trade funds. And yes, common on the primary trend reversal, right? So we try to own both. And the calls are really just kickers or a sleeve to juice the returns on the primary trend positions that we're in.
Yeah, very
most of the time. So yeah, 100%. All right, is that all you got? Because we got a fast market out here. We got some moves to make.
I think that's it. Let's do a recess.
Yeah, that's it.
All I want to say today is, after another just rip-roaring week, a lot of the stuff that we're in is absolutely killing it. Don't forget to pay yourself in these markets. When times are good, I'm not sitting here saying sell everything, close your positions in the best stocks. No. Trim your options. If you're up 10x, beat the ducks, close out a position, close out a monster winner, right? Redeploy that capital somewhere else. But you should be selling probably more than buying on these massive up weeks, right? Always. You should be positioned and ready for these moves. And when they come, you should be ready to sell into them, especially with a lot of the short-term stuff that we're doing, breakout multiplier and some other things. So just important, public service announcement there. Don't forget to pay yourself when times are good.
Could not agree more. And yeah, you definitely want to leave some stuff on the table. You want to let some stuff ride, but get paid.
And what you're doing, right, when you do that, you're freeing up capital.
Also, it's the end of the year. Start thinking about the end of the year tax situation, right? If you have a big loser, somehow, maybe take that too, right?
We're going to hear a lot about tax loss harvesting in the coming weeks. We're going to hear a lot about window dressing. We're going to hear a lot about chasing performance and chasing the leaders into year end, right? So get ready for that. Same theme as the last 2 years probably to play out.
I had a good recess, but I want to save it for JC because it'll make him chuckle, I think. So I'll save it for Monday. So I don't really have anything to share for
today. Shout out John Candy stopped by today. That's fantastic. Great American actor.
Yes, I believe this is. My wife has never seen Planes, Trains, Automobiles, so and that's like the ultimate Thanksgiving movie. So I think we're gonna watch that this weekend.
Uncle Buck, another classic, and Cool Runnings.
I've actually never seen Uncle Buck.
One of my favorite movies.
So, sorry.
Really?
Bonds, what do you got?
Well, my sister is in the city for the first time in 2 years. So, I mean, she lives in the UK. So she will spend Christmas and all the holidays of December with us. So that's good. That's good. It's good to have the entire family together. So yeah,
you guys do a lot of like long-term traveling. Like you went to like England for like a month or two.
Yeah, for like a month.
Yeah.
I mean, I can stay in her apartment, so that's an advantage.
Fonz, how long has she been out there now? It's got to be like 2 years, no?
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Wow,
that's awesome. Yep. Yeah, getting the family together for the holidays. That's beautiful.
Yep.
All right, smash the like. Oh, coming up next, live, I believe, on YouTube at 10, but it's already on the podcast platforms. Strazza and Sean on Off the Charts spoke with Denise Scholl, who is one of the foremost experts on trading psychology and behavior, right? Steve? I mean, I didn't hear it yet, obviously. So what did you guys talk about?
She's just one of the more popular trading coaches in the industry, especially back in the day when I was there in the hedge fund world. She's really been all over, worked for some of the biggest funds, worked with some of the biggest traders. So, she comes with a very unique perspective about the world of trading. It was a great conversation. We've been having so many great podcast conversations for Off the Charts lately.
So it'll be on YouTube. It'll be on our site. If you go to shows, find Off the Charts. It'll be on the major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify. Check it out, Off the Charts with Strazza and Sean.
One whole set it, and we talked about this. Yes, she is who Wendy from Billions is based on. There's a whole big situation there, and we discussed this on the pod, so check it out.
Nice.
That opening scene in Billions is never going to leave me. Yeah, I was so unprepared.
We get into it. Yeah.
All right. Those of you who are members of AAC Premium and Mastermind, we'll have the Mastermind class today. It'll be with Strazza. That's at 1:00. You'll get an email about that. And that's the plan. So smash the like, please. And thank you. Thank you to Alfonso. Thanks to Kenny Glick, as always, for coming to hang out. Follow us on all the socials. There they are. And go make some money, all right?
And happy Friday, everybody. Have a great weekend. Short week. And turkey next week.
That's right. Nice. See you guys.
Peace.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.